How to select and integrate quotes in literary analysis. As we look through this PowerPoint, remember that this is just a refresher from previous classes. Next week, I will walk you through using these quotes in your literary analysis. Why do we highlight quotes? We pick quotes because they matter. When a quotation is memorable and adds meaning to what we are reading or looking for, we highlight it. When a quotation supports the author's theme or main message, we highlight it. And when a quotation holds personal meaning for us, when we can connect with it, we usually highlight it. We select quotations because they are memorable and add meaning to what we are reading or looking for. If you know your thesis for the story that you're going to be reading, wonderful. Look for points that support it. If you don't have a thesis in mind or you want to take notes during your first read, and I recommend you read your story a few times, go with your instinct. What stands out? What feels important? It is better to have too many quotes highlighted than not enough. I would also recommend making notes or color coding your highlighting so you know why something is highlighted. Is it important to the plot? Did you make a personal connection? That way when you look over your notes, you'll be able to understand why you highlighted it in the first place. When a quotation adds meaning or supports the main theme, it often incorporates figurative language, like similes and metaphors. It can repeat throughout the piece, just like a song's chorus highlights meaning, a repeated phrase or sentence does the same thing. It goes beyond plot and connects to larger issues. It's a quote that you could understand synthesizing with other things, maybe other books that you've read or other films that you've watched. When a quotation holds personal meaning for us, it might remind us of something either we or a friend or family member have experienced. It might clarify or push us to explore a topic that we are curious about. And it might challenge us to consider how we would react in a situation we haven't been placed in before. How to introduce a quotation? Never just drop it in. You want to use your own words to introduce it, present the quotation, and then analyze. Think about the information that helps the reader understand where the quote came from, because maybe your reader didn't read the story that you're talking about. So what is the quote describing? Why does it matter? You can include who says the quote. You could include when it happens in the story, or what event caused the quote to happen. This is called context. You need to provide an introduction or context to every quotation you use. Be strong. In order to make your own writing flow as smoothly as possible, it is usually best to only use effective parts of the quotation as part of your own sentence. What that means is you don't need the full sentence. Instead, what part is the strongest of that quotation that supports your point? Use that part and that part alone. Ellipses are helpful when we want to use part but not an entire quote. So if you're omitting words or starting from a midpoint in the sentence, 3-point ellipses have single type spaces before them and after each of the 3 dots to help you introduce that. So for example, when the narrator states that the best time of her life was when she traveled to Paris, she is expressing a change in her attitude. I only wanted to use the second half of that sentence, so I used ellipses. That allowed me to take off the first part. You do the work. Do not rely on quotations to do the work for you. Do not just drop them in and assume that the reader will understand why they're there. You must always follow that introduction and the quotation with commentary or a phrase that lets us know why it's there in the first place. For example, you might say Chopin's statement means. You're explaining what the quote meant. When the author says this, and you put in the meaning. The reader can now understand. You're clarifying, why is the quote there? Why does it support your point? Make changes. Quotations should fit into your argument. If punctuation, pronouns, or verb tenses do not flow with your own words, paraphrase or make minor changes to the quotation so that they fit. You can see 2 examples below. I am my own man, the narrator says, asserting that he is no longer under their control. Or if I wanted, I could start that sentence with, when the narrator says, I am my own man, he asserts that he is no longer under their control. I'm taking the piece I need. I'm finding out how to grammatically put it in my sentence. And if you do that, I guarantee the quotes won't just be dropped in, but they'll flow with your own language.